So I feel like last week I was talking about the Jack Reacher books, the Lee Child books that feature the character Jack Reacher, and I feel like I sort of just ripped into that completely incongruously, and then just stopped talking about him at some point. It just mumbled off, and it was not connected to anything at all. But in my head, it was indeed connected, indubitably connected to what I was talking about. And what I was talking about was 4 a.m. I just didn't finish the thought. And it's been flipping in my mind all week long. Flippity flappity in my mind all week long. This little string that's loose in the wind. I'm like, oh, I got to tie that up before somebody notices. Because I would hate for anything in this podcast to not make sense. Even for 1 second, I would hate for it to lapse into ridiculous unconsciousness, into just babbling madness. So I need to get back there and make sure that first things first, I gotta wrap up that string that I left flapping in the wind. We had some good light today. Again, across the street from Mascot Pizza, doing that thing. The first sunshine that the Face Off podcast has seen in months. I'm getting back to Reacher. Don't worry about that, you guys. I'm just commenting on this light. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing, man. The sunshine. What a great thing. Let's come back to the sunshine later. If you ain't getting sunshine, I feel bad for you, son. I do. You got to have it. You really do. I mean, I noticed when I moved here, this shithole barely ever gets sun. I mean, even on the sunniest day, it's not the same kind of sun. It's not the same, it's not the same, all right? It's on the most sunless day in Arizona, in Yuma, where I came from, the most sunless day is better than the sunniest day here somehow. I don't know what it is. I do know what it is. It's all this fucking moisture in the air, man. I hate it. I feel bad. And, if you live somewhere else where there's real damp, like the swamp and stuff, that's rough. I feel bad for that. That can make you miserable on both ends. It'll make you miserable when it's hot. It'll make you miserable when it's cold, because it feels even colder than it actually is. It's like frozen little needle points in your body. It might not be that bad. It is pretty bad, though. I got to admit it. So anyway, good sun. This is what I'm trying to get at, is it's not 4 a.m. now. It's 9 a.m. now. And I got some good sun to the east of me, just baking me in this car. And it's great. There's so many people driving by and walking by and stuff. It is so weird to... I feel like there should be a segment on this podcast, like, who is willing to, if I yell at somebody walking by, hey, you want to be on a podcast? Come and sit in this car with me. We'll talk. Here's another microphone. That would be an interesting concept. Who has that confidence and or gullibility? That's an interest. Okay, I'm going to get back to Reacher here in just a minute, but I'm having thoughts. So there's I was watching the show a long time ago, like I would say probably 10 years ago, maybe even more, which creeps me out because the person, I think her name's Tyra Banks, doesn't seem to have aged in that time. Me, I'm a much huger pile of shit than I was back then. But her, no, she just seems like the same. I don't know if it's just the glamour, the illusion or something, or I just don't keep up with it. Maybe she's hideously old and deformed now. It's hard to say. I don't think so. Anyway, I was watching her show and she set up this sting operation where they'd send a dude in to pick up a girl. And then if the girl went with the dude who was an actor, they would then, tell her that she was crazy. Like, why would you go somewhere with somebody? This guy could be an insane psychopath. What are you doing? You're going to drink drinks with this guy and then go to his car? You're crazy. Why would you do that? You're insane. And they made her feel really bad about it. But it made me think what I was seeing was that it made what this experiment was doing was causing this woman to question her own instincts. Because she was sitting in a bar and some good-looking dude walked up and started chatting her up, and she was like, oh, this is cool. She 100% didn't get the feeling, oh, this guy's a psycho that's going to chop me into little pieces, or he's going to rape me, or he's going to burn down my house, or be a stalker or something like that. She didn't get that vibe because he didn't have that fucking vibe. He was an actor. She probably got the vibe of an actor. She's probably like, oh, this guy is cool. You know, he's got some confidence. He's probably, you know, making some money. He seems put together. He's interesting. He's good looking. He was a fucking actor. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I hate things like that where people make you question your instincts. You know, make you question what you know, but you don't know. That's what the instincts are. It's stuff that you know, but you don't know. So, hey, there's a fucking weirdo in this elevator. I'm not getting in there. Fuck that guy. Fuck his feelings. I'm not doing it. And then people are like, oh, no, you should be polite. It's like, hell no, I shouldn't be polite. You follow those motherfucking instincts. Some shits are good because your head know. There's a Malcolm Gladwell book that talks about that shit called Blink, and it's where you make a decision in a split second, you know? It's a really good book. I feel like I talk about Malcolm Gladwell a lot on here. I've read a lot of his books, and they're pretty good. So anyway, Blink is really good. It's about that stuff, that instinctual split-second decisions and everything. And I think it's really important to have a finely honed understanding of your own instincts and the ability to run with them, you know, without really delving, you know, some trust in it. And sometimes it takes a long view. You have to have a long view of things, because sometimes your instincts make you feel like dog shit, where you're like, oh God, I'm the worst person. Like with that fucking creep in the elevator. It's like, oh yeah, no, I feel bad because that guy might have just been a normal dude and I just ran the other direction screaming, not today, motherfucker, you're not taking me. And now maybe he feels bad. But the flip side of that is that maybe he was a creep, and maybe he did would have chopped your body in half and left you laying there bleeding to death. So, which is worse? You got to take the long view of it. You got to, you know, just suck up that shit and go along. It may be like your instinct is not to take a certain job or something like that, even though it all looks good on the surface, and then that place gets hit with a meteor like 3 years later. You're like, oh shit, I would have been sitting in that building for show. But now I'm not. 3 years later, you're like, those were good instincts, boy. I felt that in the wind. What were we talking? What? Where the fuck? How the fuck did we get here? I'm lost. So we were talking about Jack Reacher. It's 9 a.m. It's sunny. The sun in Arizona is better than the sun in Spokane. Oh yeah, I was talking about the torture trap podcast that I was thinking of doing. Pulling up to a place and just sitting there with the windows down and yelling at people, hey, you want to be on a podcast? Get over here and have a seat. See, that's where their instincts would pay off. They'd be like, well, this guy's probably not going to kill me. I mean, he looks like he would, but there's something in my gut that says, no, he's not going to do it. That's a fine line I like to toe. I like to come across a little creepy with some creepy ideas. But like, no, there's no part of me that's is interested in touching any other person in any way whatsoever. So it's like a safe creepy. That's what I'm aiming for. Some safe creepy safety creepy. You know, you can feel a little scared and weirded out, but in a safe way. Like, I don't, it's to my core that I don't feel interested in interacting with any other human in any way whatsoever. I don't want to fuck you. I don't want to cut you into pieces. I don't want to give you a hug. I don't want a handshake because your hands are dirty. I don't even really want to talk. I don't even want to be here right now. I would prefer if I had a coffin at home that I could just lay in all day and somebody would intravenously feed me soup through a tube. A soup tube. All right, this is going great. This is going really good. I'm really happy about it. The Mascot Pizza place looks better in the sunshine. I thought it would look better in the dark, but oh no, never mind. It's kind of a piece of shit. Anyway, back to Jack Reacher. So the reason I was talking about that Jack Reacher book, or that line of books, so many of them, man, that guy pumps out books. I've heard things about ghostwriters where they'll have somebody that's kind of like an intern, not really an intern, I guess, but they'll write a book with somebody who's not interested in anything but like, writing and making a little money. They're not interested in getting their name out there, really. And so some of these big writers that put out so many books will write a book with somebody, and basically they just give them the idea, and then this person writes in their style. It's like a ghostwriter, like super ghostwriter. Ghostwriter motorcycle hero. But I don't know if that's true. That could be slanderous ridiculousness. I mean, these guys might just fucking write all the time. I figure like after you make a living writing, then that's what you do, You do that for 6-8 hours a day, you're good. I wrote a book. It took one summer, and I just wrote for 2 hours a day. It took longer than the summer. I finished the original draft over the summer, and then it took until the end of the year to get to final edits to where everything was where I wanted it to be. I mean, I could go through and edit it again right now, obviously, but I don't want to anymore. So yeah, that I wrote that in the bulk of it in a summer, writing 2 hours a day. If you want writing advice from me, which I don't know, do you? Why would you? Why wouldn't you? It's hard to say. Maybe you do. Maybe it's just what you need to hear is what I have to say. My writing advice is just to write. That's it. You just got to set up a time. It doesn't matter how much time it is. But you know what I did? It wasn't necessarily 2 hours. It was 2,000 words. So I wrote 2,000 words a day, and that usually took me about 2 hours. Some days it went really fast. But I wrote it on a really simple note program. I actually used an iPad. I don't recommend that. It was kind of nice because I didn't try any kind of formatting or anything. It was just sort of flopping it out there. Anyway, this is getting kind of convoluted. This what do you call it? This advice, writing advice. My advice is to pick a number and stick to it every single goddamn day, no matter what. So if it's 500 words, 1,000 words, 25 words, stick to it because it's just a matter of time. So 2,000 words a day in a month, that's 60,000 words. In 30 days, it's 60,000 words. In 60 days, it's more, 120,000 words. That's a lot. So, yeah, just get to it. Chug it out. I mean, 60 to 80,000 is a pretty respectable novel. You get higher than that, it start getting bigger. I guess the one that I wrote, it was called Allegory in Red. It's on my Facebook if you want to watch or read it. You can't watch it yet. But yeah, if you want to read it, it's there. Go ahead and check it out. It's a twisting, turning, maddening, babbling pile of steaming weirdness, much like everything that I've ever done in my life. But yeah, pick a number, stick with it. That's all there is. There's nothing to it. You don't have to do good. You don't have to do anything. You just do it. You don't have to even write a story, you know. You don't have to write the thing that you're trying to write. You just have to write. Because the way that I look at it is that no matter what you're doing, you're writing, you're playing music, you're doing comedy, you're podcasting, any kind of creative endeavor is it's gonna there's a whole bunch of shit in front of the diamonds, and you got to clear that shit out. And there's a lot of time that you spend thinking that the shit is diamonds. and and it's only until you get to an actual diamond where you're like, oh wow, this is actually way different than all that shit. I just got distracted because there's a chain link fence behind me, but then behind that chain link fence there's another chain link fence. So I'm looking in the mirror of the car here, and so the first chain link fence is much closer. So the chain link of the fence is thicker and more pronounced and bigger than the one way behind, where it appears that it's way thinner. And so 4 of the little diamonds of negative space fit inside of one of the bigger diamonds of the closer chain link perfectly, and it's so weird looking. I don't know, it's just totally tripping me out right now. I should try to catch it on video, but I'm just not going to. It's just not in the cards right now. My coat makes a lot of noise when I move. That's pretty much my excuse. So the reason why I brought up Jack Reacher and the Reacher books and Lee Child in general was because it was 4 a.m. And what I was trying to get to was in that book, in those books, there's a theme about doing stuff covertly, the best time to do it being 4 a.m. because people are only doing usually one of 2 things, or maybe even 3 things, but it's they're sleeping very, very deeply. That's one thing. Or they're up, plotting or doing something criminal. Or they're at work. They're working, and they're pretty bleary. I work all night, 4 a.m. I work every single day through the night. Not every single day, but all the days that I work are through the night. And 4 a.m. is a rough spot. No matter what, no matter how much sleep I got and how good I'm feeling, it's a rough spot. And so I don't give a fuck what anybody's doing as long as they don't bother me. But that's what he was saying in that book, was that if you're going to do some dirty, just do it at 4 a.m. and you'll get away with it. I think that's good advice. If you want to rob a liquor store, you should do it at 4 a.m. That way you will get a lot of liquor and nobody will get hurt unless you get shot by the police, which could happen. That does happen from time to time. This is the Face Off podcast, by the way. If you didn't know that and you just hung around, you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna play this. I found my buddy's iPod, and this was, queued up to right here. I'm just gonna listen to this, see what it is, and then you're just like, you know what? This is well worth sticking around for. I don't care what it is. I don't have any history with it, but we're gonna have a long and bountiful future. If that's the case, thank you for listening and sticking it out, and welcome to the Face Off podcast. Guess what? This is episode 18. That's crazy, huh? I was thinking about it. That's 4.5 months of Face Off deliciousness. And admittedly, for the last month, I'm going to say the last month, I have been slacking on Face Off real bad. I don't have time. My schedule changed. I don't have time for this cocksucking fucking asshole of a movie. I don't have time for it, okay? I gotta try to figure out how to have time for it. I gotta carve out some time. I've been reading the original draft of the script, the first draft of the script, and it's good. It's real good. It's real good in the way like Commando was good, which it's not great, but it's good, in the way like Con Air. That's a movie from the time of Face Off. That movie's entertaining. At least it's fucking preposterous. It's insane. It's over the top, but at least it's like kind of entertaining. Face Off is just right down the center, boring and stupid. I don't like it. So it's hard. It's hard to fit it in when I don't want to do it. Might be nice to. It's a real like example, a real life example of misery loves company. Because if somebody else was watching this movie with me, it would be easier because they would be suffering too, and I would enjoy that way more than just me suffering. So I don't like that. But at the same time, this podcast seems to have less bite without the torturous aspect of it, where it's like, oh, there's some sacrifice happening here. This man's putting his sanity on the line for his art or whatever this is, and it's good because we don't have to do that, but he's doing it. It's and then contrarily, on the other side of that coin, on the other side of the yin of the yang, is the rebelness, the rebelliity of being like, look, I made the rules, all right, I'm gonna break them shits. That feels good. It feels good to break those fucking rules. It feels good to go on a diet and come off of it and just fucking stuff your face with fucking ho-hos and barbecued burritos like a fat animal, you know, and then just lay there feeling sick like you're gonna die. That feels good in a way. Maybe not a healthy way, but definitely in a way. It feels good to. That's why, okay, so there is a reason to steal stuff, to break the law, to rob people. Because you need money to buy drugs or just to get by, to pay the rent, you know, to pay the light bill. You gotta have money. So you gotta get or out of spite. You know, there's a bunch of different reasons too, but those reasons are all secondary to the original reason, which the reason is because it feels good to break the rules. It feels really good. It feels really good to break them. It feels even better to get away with breaking them. Those are two different levels. But that when you do get away with it, that feeling sort of fades. It's a lot like a drug. It fades over time. You're like, fuck, I got away with that. Guess what I'm going to get away with this time? It's going to be even better. So you got to get a little bit heavier to get that real hit, you know? It's got to be something harder and crazier and more risk and more reward, all that stuff. So that's good. Crime as a drug. I'm into it. I mentioned before, I like crime. I think it's a good thing for society, and it keeps things going, you know? If you haven't ever done some crime, why not? Go out there and do some crime. Come on. Go steal something stupid. Go steal a computer mouse from Walmart for some reason. You know, and then when they stop you and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And you'd be like, "I needed to surf the internet, man. And I didn't have a mouse. You gotta have a mouse. Mine broke. So I came here and I'm stealing this mouse. I need to get on the internet. I need to get on the goddamn internet." I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the Face Off script. That's right, because this is the Face Off podcast number 18. Welcome to the Face Off podcast number 18. I'm getting weird looks from people. Right now they're walking by. I may be giving weird looks to these people. Oh, they're just standing there. This is creepy. This is so uncomfortable for everybody, I think. There's one person. There's one person standing on the driver's side of the car. Just standing there waiting for the other person on the passenger side. Now they're both passing by. Oh, man, that was weird. So they were both just standing. I didn't know if they could hear me or not, but I was totally... oh, now they're coming around behind. What is going on? These crazy old fucking weirdos, man. Old people are strange, dude. Super strange. That's never gone away for me. when I was a kid, I thought old people like me, like almost, like 38, 40-year-olds. I was like, oh, those fucking 40-year-olds are creepy, dude. Super creepy. And now that I'm, almost, I'm like 38 years old now. I'm like, fucking weirdos. Just 60-year-olds are weirdos, man. Totally. And still 40-year-olds are weirdos. Fuck, man. I don't know what it is. I just think it's I don't like hanging out with kids, but I like to try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And when I say kids, I mean like teenagers. If you're not 14 or 15 years old, then I'm not interested in your life at all. If you can't form a complete fucking sentence, then I don't want to be part of it. I don't want anything. No, it's too much. It's too much. But so yeah, these like 60-year-old, 70-year-old people fucking creep me out, man. Walking around by my car like they just own the parking lot. This is my space. They were standing in between the lines, they were real close. It was weird. It was like they were going to knock on the window. I should have invited them in. I should have. That was an opportunity lost right there. Anyway, let's get back here. This is a face-off podcast. I got a message from Bob, my buddy Bob, who might be the only listener of this podcast besides me. Wouldn't that be hilarious? That would be really funny. It's like this this bizarre, like, multi-dimensional telephone system. This one-way communication system. It's just it's just me talking directly to Bob the whole time. Oh man, that's funny. That would actually be pretty hilarious. I think that's like the Shaggy 2 Dope drop kick to Fred Durst's Super Juggalo to to try to do something awesome, like drop kick Fred Durst off of a fucking stage in the middle of his own concert, and then just miss. Just miss. It's so fucking Juggalo. I love it so much, man. And that's what that would be my version of this podcast. Is I'm like, all right, cool. Let's put together a podcast. We're gonna change the world, buddy. And then it just is me talking directly to Bob the whole time, and then me getting cited in his like eventual mass shooting spree or something like that, where he's like, it was the Face Off podcast that drove me to it. I gave him an accent there. Hey, Judge, it was the Face Off podcast that drove me to it. You just go back and listen to that prick, man. You need to put him in jail, not me. And the judge would listen to it, and he'd be like, oh my God, they're absolutely right. Bob is completely exonerated from any responsibility for this this mass murder spree because he was under the influence of this madness. That would be my Juggalo move. Bob's a pretty non-violent person. I highly doubt he's gonna mass murder anybody. I'm not going to say he's not going to, but I'm going to say that I highly doubt that it's going to happen. All right, this has just gotten insulting now. It's just gotten bad. All right, let's get back on anyway, yeah, Bob sent me a note. He said he was missing some face off there. That might have been facetious, but I'm taking it serious. I'm taking it real serious. All right. Because I'm that kind of personality. I take things that aren't meant to be taken serious, and I take things that are meant to be taken very serious, unserious, completely unserious. I don't care to put any event on a pedestal over another unless it's completely pointless. Like if somebody misunderstands the nuance in some sort of like professional wrestling storyline from the 80s or the early 90s, I'll get really upset about it. I'll be like, you need to know what was actually going on there. There's some behind the scenes stuff that you weren't privy to because you're an asshole. So let me fill you in so you can get your fucking life right. But then it's like, oh, 9/11 happened. And I'm like, oh, good. I don't care. Gives a fuck. That doesn't matter to me at all. Not in the least. Not on the surface. Anyway, I guess. So that's a weird thing. 9/11. There's a lot of people alive now that weren't alive then. Isn't that wild? Or they were just little people that have no recollection. They just, that's crazy. I think that's good though, because it was probably a big psyops mission. I doubt those towers ever even existed. Yeah, 9:30. Let's get it. Let's get at it. Where were we at? We were talking about Face Off for sure. Oh yeah, professional wrestling too. 90s professional wrestling. There's an awesome video. Okay, there's an awesome video on the internet right now that I heard about on a podcast, so I went and looked it up. But it's a wrestling video, and it's from, I want to say 88 or 86 or 85. Something like that. But what it is it's backstage at the Great American Bash. And some dude, what is his name? I can't remember his name, but one of the wrestlers he borrowed. This is my favorite part of it. He borrowed somebody's video camera, and he's backstage, and he's got like one of those camcorders, one of those old school camcorders. He's just filming people, and there's this novelty. Everybody's like, oh, it's one of those camcorder things. Cool. And he's like, fuck yeah, dude, I borrowed it from whoever. And they're like, oh, it's fucking awesome. Is it cool? He's like, hell yeah, it's cool, man. Taking video. But it's in the 80s and stuff. And it's just like 20 minutes of this dude walking around backstage and filming all these wrestlers who are in various states, the show's going on out front. And so these guys some of them are already done for the night. Some of them are getting ready for the night. Some of them are just hanging around. It's so fucking weird and cool because it's like all these different people, Lex Luger, the Road Warriors, all these fucking crazy people. And they're just sitting back there chilling out. They're so fucking coked out of their gourds too. They're so fucked up. Oh, it's hilarious. And they'll go in and out of character like Hawk from the Road Warriors and Legion of Doom. He just fucking starts flipping it. Like he's pretty intense to begin with, but then he puts on his voice, like his wrestling voice, and it's just this fucking grating, like crazy. Just there's one point where it's just him and Lex Luger and the other animal from the Road Warriors too, and they're just screaming out like wounds and diseases and stuff. It's like broken arm, punctured liver. It's so fucking retarded. Anyway, you should look it up. I don't know how you put it's like backstage Great American Bash 85 or 86 or something like that. It's fucking hilarious. But it's only got like 1,000 views on there. I didn't even think it was the right video, but it is. It's cool. Anyway, that was it took me about 20 minutes to tell you about that 20-minute long video. You could have just watched it. I could have just gave you the web address, and that would have worked out great. Hold on one second. I had to cough. That was gross. I don't like it. Okay, so I've been reading the Face Off script, the original screenplay, the first draft, and it's way better. Way better than the movie is. It's got those little details that a writer would leave in and that a director might not notice, would overlook, and say, oh, I don't like that. I want to change that. Like the building scene at the beginning is totally different. It's not an airplane thing. Airplane chase. Give me a fucking break. It's a big building, kind of a weird rescue thing. I don't know. I got to reread that to actually understand what's even going on. But what strikes me in this, hold on. Sorry, I keep fucking coughing. What strikes me in this screenplay is that Erewhon Prison is central once again to the storyline, and even in the movie Face Off, it's pretty central. It seemed to me out, if you remember back to one of the early episodes of the Face Off podcast, that that it seemed to me that Erewhon Prison as a place, as a setting in this movie was one of the most nuanced settings. It had the most rooms. It had the most really stuff going on. You know, it was different than the other places, which just seemed like spots that they just walked in. It seemed like the place where Sean Archer should have had to face his demons down, you know, a little bit more than he did. And it seemed also underutilized. And I didn't even really realize that till I started reading the screenplay. And there's little touches in there, like there's certain prisoners who would take their metal boots and they would use them to walk up and hang off the ceiling. It was just a thing they liked to do, and it was allowed, you know, it was a thing that they could do. That's cool as fuck. That's fucking sweet. It's just the tiniest little detail, but it's awesome. And they just left it out. Why would they leave that out? That's a fucking cool thing, man. You got magnets. Your whole prison is magnetized, and you got metal boots. Hell yeah. You're hanging from the ceiling. That's what you do. You're bored as fuck. You're like, let's push the limits, you know? I think that's really cool, and they left it out. Another part was when Sean Archer overrides the computer and then breaks it. The mechanism, the metal or the magnetism mechanism, the mechanism for the magnetism goes fucking haywire, and there's just metal shit flying all over the place. So there's this huge prison riot going on, but there's also just shit flying all over the place. You know, like knives and people with their boots on are just flinging across the way. So it's like a tornado of prisoners and toasters and shit like that, which is fucking awesome. I mean, come on. Could you imagine that scene? That's so fucking cool. It's just this crazy prison, and it's just all dark and damp and shitty, and then all of a sudden everybody's just flying all over the place. It's like a tornado of people. It's just random shit flopping everywhere. Guns and bullets. They can't shoot at each other because the bullets just fling and hit a wall. You know, they curve and hit a wall and stuff. That's fucking cool. That's a cool ass detail that was left out. That's like, that detail is strong enough to be a set piece for the entire movie. You know what I mean? Like something that you would remember that movie for. And they just, and it was like, no, let's cut that out. We don't want that. What? Are you saying we're going to just have a regular prison riot instead, and not even a very good one? Because we already know the prisoners are idiots because they went, ooh, when Castor Troy threatened somebody, barely even threatened somebody. Give me a break, man. That's a shitty riot. I want the human body tornado of the messed up magnetism mechanism. That's what I'm looking for. That's the shit that I want in a movie. It makes me think of like there's other movies where there's a set piece, there's something that happens, and it's like, oh shit, that was what that movie was, you know? That was what it was. Sort of like in The Matrix, that part where he gets shot at and he leans way back. You know, that whole scene there. That was what that movie was for a while. It was like, oh yeah, that's what it is. When they did that crazy bullet time thing, it was like, oh yeah, that's what that is. The Matrix is a fucking cool movie from start to finish, basically. And that little scene was the thing that it was. It was like, this is what the Matrix is, right here. You don't need to know anything else. Just this fucking cool ass camera. See what I'm saying? And so this scene, even for like 20 seconds of just shit flying all over the place and bullets curving and all this craziness, you know, that would have been, it would have been fucking phenomenal. It would have been like, that's the thing Face Off is remembered for, not for the fact that they take their stupid fucking faces off and put them on other people's faces. Be like, remember that fucking prison scene? It was insane. It was crazy, man. And people flying all over the place. What the fuck? Nuts, bro. Nuts. Just missed opportunities right there. But I'm not too far. I'm about halfway through that screenplay. It's a pretty long screenplay. And a couple other things I've noticed. The pedophilia aspect is fully intact. Just creepy, like trying to get close to that kid, you know. That's fully intact. I guess it's amplified a little bit more in the movie, like as they put it in the book. It's just, or in the screenplay. It's isn't that weird? Like I want to make this is definitely not a book. This is a screenplay. Like I want to make that distinction totally clear, because books hold some sort of higher authority in my mind than a screenplay does. Screenplay is not as elevated as a book. Isn't that weird? Like what is that? Because that's like, there's a hierarchy in my head of literature, and screenplay is pretty low on the list. It's above a play for sure, but and above poems. Poems are pretty bad for the most part. What about songs? Songs are pretty terrible too. Tweets are pretty low. Although I feel like as things get elevated in the public sphere, they get lower-vated, de-elevated in my mind. I can't believe how important tweets are right now. That's crazy. People's whole fucking lives are made and broken, mostly broken off the backs of a tweet. The fucking president tweets. It's so weird. I didn't think he tweets out policy. That is very bizarre. I can't tell if I really hate that or if I really, really like it. I don't know. It might be that I really like it. Like that I like it so much that it feels wrong to like it that much. Because it's like, this guy's an idiot, obviously. But he's like, look, here I am. I think I'm real smart. So I'm gonna put it out there. That's pretty refreshing. Because I think all those fucking guys are idiots. They might be smart idiots. I saw a Bill Clinton interview, and he was just fucking rattling stuff off. Like, I'm so fucking smart. But it wasn't like he was really smart. It was just like he remembered stuff. I don't like that. That's like, it's like opening a book and being like, what's on this page? Oh, it's this. It's really creepy. I read a book by Joe Estahaz. I can't remember what it was called. But he's the guy who wrote he wrote a bunch of movies in the 90s. I want to say early 2000s, but God, I can't. He wrote Flashdance. That was one of the movies. He's an interesting guy. He was a Hungarian screenplay writer, and he thought of screenplays as you know, is that they could be good, you know what I mean? But he was the one who saw, he woke up one day and saw in Variety that Shane Black, I want to say, had sold a screenplay for $13 million or something like that, and it was record breaking amount of money. And Joe Esterhazy, he was like, I want to sell a screenplay for $13 million. So he wrote a screenplay in like 8 days and then sold it for $13 million. That's an American success story right there, man. But man, I want to say like Silver or Sliver and Basic Instinct and stuff, but I don't know if those were them. It might have been something else. I'm pretty sure he wrote Showgirls too. Anyway, he was that was a good book, man. That guy was pretty weird. I like people like that are fucking kind of crazy. That's what I mean. Like, what is it better to hide your crazy or to just have it out there? Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to say about Joe Esterhazy. In that book, he talked about meeting President Clinton because he knew somebody in the administration, and the guy was like, "Oh, I'll get you in there. You can meet with him, you know." And he said he got stood outside the door of the Oval Office, and the guy went in there, and the door was still open, cracked open, and the guy was like, he was talking to Clinton and was like, "Hey, you want to talk to this guy? You want to meet this guy?" And he kind of looked over and he's like, "Is he a reporter?" The guy was like, "No." And he like looked at him again. He's like, "He looks like a fucking reporter." This guy, who's this guy? He looks like a fucking reporter, man. I don't want to talk to him. And it was weird because you don't get that sense of Bill Clinton from anything else. That he would be the kind of guy that would be like, "Is this guy a fucking reporter? I don't want to talk to him if he's a fucking reporter." You know what I mean? Like, that's a weird thing. But like Bill Clinton was like, "Hey, I'm your buddy. It's all good, buddy." But no, that guy's a creep, dude. All those fucking assholes are creeps. Every single one of them. All the Bushes, all the Clintons, all the Obamas, every one of those motherfuckers, the Trumps, they're all fucking creeps, man. And it creeps me the fuck out when people are like, "Oh yeah, they're really good. Hillary Clinton would have been way better." It's like, no, she wouldn't have, you fucking weirdo. You know why she lost too is because she went as Hillary and not as Clinton. Nobody's gonna elect a Hillary. Come on, man. You're a Clinton, motherfucker. That was some power there. Nope, not doing it. Clinton versus Trump. If it would have been Clinton versus Donald, she would have fucking took it. It's all about the wording, man. It doesn't have shit to do with anything. And honestly, I don't even feel like it's all about the wording. I feel like this shit is predetermined. Go out and vote, baby. Make sure to get your fucking vote in. So stupid. Oh God, I hate it so much. I have never voted in my life. That's the truth right there. I'm never going to. Literally from the time I was like 18 years old, I was able to vote. I was like, there is 0 point to this. I think it was way before that, like at 10, 12 years old. I was like, are you fucking serious? This is how it's set up? Are we stupid? This is so fucking dumb. I was raised in a house where voting wasn't important though, so I don't know. If you're a kid and you get raised in a place where people vote and everything, obviously you're gonna do it. But not me, man. I'm fucking out of that shit. It is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, if you like to do it, then do it. Just go ahead. You have my you have my permission to do whatever you want. It's a free world. Free world. I'm okay. Hey, this is where I take a break. I'm going to take a little breather because this is how it works. I got to fit this stuff in to different places. So when I come back, it's going to be a different time. It's going to be a different time. It'll be time travel. I'll go at the rate of regular speed, but you go real fast. Super fast. But also backwards, because it won't be in the future. It'll be in the past for you, though it's the future for me now, but it will be the present when I get to it, right? That's good. I like all that. That works out for me. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that. So hey, thanks for being here so far. I would say stick around, but you don't have to stick around. It's just right here. It's going to be literally right here, right now. Nope. Okay, hold on. Now. I'm back again. Now it's, what time is it? This is tomorrow from yesterday. Yesterday was earlier than now. Now is tomorrow. Now is tomorrow. Now is tomorrow at 11:40. And as you can hear by the car noises, that's that turn signal right there for you. As you can hear, I'm back on track and headed to Plasma. And if you're watching, it's a terrible video because it's mostly the steering wheel, the backside of the steering wheel in badly rendered, so to speak. So just maybe don't even bother. I didn't think it out too much because the camera works really good there when I'm sitting still, but when I'm moving around, it's just all steering wheel that you see. That's not great. Maybe at one of these stoplights I'll try to fix it, because I know it's really important. It's just in the scheme of things, it is truly one of the things that needs to be taken care of. Yeah. So here we are. This is still episode 18, back at the Face Off podcast. I don't know what I'm even doing here. I mean, I'm going to do Plasma. I know that much. That's always fun. I am stopped at a red light. Let's see if we can fix this thing, maybe. Get it. That's a little bit better, huh? Maybe put it over there. Oh, that's a pretty good crooked view. That's very cinematic of me. I like that. Shaved my head today and my face. That's important news in the world, in my world, in the world of Face Off. I took one face off, and what was revealed below is my true form. And now I am but a man, brought down from the realm of the gods and put on earth to suffer and toil all of my days in eternal bliss, suffering in ecstasy, finding my way along with all the other fallen gods through the bramble patches of modern society. You know, that's what's going on. That's probably what you're up to today too. Just being a fallen god, finding your way through the bramble patches of society as we have deemed fit to live in right now. It's pretty whack, I gotta tell you. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not whack. Maybe it's pretty good. I feel like it's pretty whack. Like, I don't like most things. I guess I had kind of a weird, one of those weird wake-up calls. I got this app for my phone. Angela's brother, he lost a bunch of weight after gaining a bunch of weight. And he said that it's mostly the app's fault because it's where you put the app's fault that he lost weight. He gives it credit. So you put in the food that you eat, and it gives you the calorie count and stuff, and it lets you see what you're doing. You know, it's really it's a pretty basic idea. You just keep track of your food, and so I started doing that yesterday. So did Angela. We all were pretty excited about it, you know, because you got to lose some weight. I'm huge. I'm like giant. I always put the delineation point as when I stopped. Well, no, I guess it's not even that. It was, I don't know what the delineation point is. You know, I just been consistently gaining weight my entire life, it feels like. So I know, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like maybe 10 pounds a year. Maybe A little bit more, maybe like 10.2 pounds a year or something, because I'm 38 now. I weigh a whopping 340 pounds. That's crazy. That's a lot of weight, to be carrying around all day. And so, but I'm 38, so that's more than 10 pounds a year, obviously. But that's rough. I can't keep doing that. If I'm going to be 400 pounds when I'm 40, that's not good. Or 450 pounds when I'm 45, or 500 pounds when I'm 50. Like, that weight keeps going with the age like that, then it's like my body just keeps getting shittier and fatter. So it's less able to deal with the fat and more fat all the time. So anyway, try to do that thing and lose a little weight. And so I was looking at this, I got this app set up and put in the calories for the day. It's got like all the different foods and stuff. It's pretty good. And I was like, I'm probably over a little bit. Probably over by a little bit, but maybe it's just the kind of food that I'm eating and everything. And Patrick, Angela's brother, he swears by it. He's like, oh, no, you got to just get underneath this certain calorie count. And so I put it in, and it was way higher than I thought. It was like 2,000 extra calories. That's like a whole extra person of food. So no wonder I'm putting on all this weight. And I like to blame it on everything. I like to blame it on the Illuminati. I like to blame it on the big food industries. I like to blame it on my addictive personality. I like to blame it on Spokane the most, because I hate Spokane. It's so moist up here and awful that I'm always trying to find some way of not dealing with the fact that I fucking live here now. And so it's just shoving ho-hos in my face holes, not just my mouth. I shove them in my eyes and nose, all over the place. It's a real nasty habit. So anyway, and I think this was even hot. Like it asked me what I want to do. Hey, you want to lose? I told it I want to lose 90 pounds as fast as possible. That's probably not the healthiest thing, but it said the fastest you're going to lose 90 pounds is August next year, August 2019. That's losing 2 pounds a week, and that's a lot. That's like twice as much as I think you're supposed to lose. So, like, to be healthy. So it said you got to eat underneath this amount of food, and do this amount of exercise, which isn't too big of a deal because I walk a lot for work, from and to work and for work and all this shit. So so it was a pretty high number anyway. This is probably super boring, huh? I think it's boring. I'm already bored with it, but I was astounded by the amount of extra calories that I was intaking. I didn't think so. I guess that's the point that I'm getting to is any amount of awareness, I try to welcome it into my life. Any type of awareness, I try hard to welcome it, but god damn it, most of the times I don't even want to fucking hear about it. Like, I don't want to deal with this. God damn it, is there another thing I have to figure out and grow with? You know what I mean? So I see a lot of people I'm super, like, this was so shocking, such a shocking extra amount of calories that it was like, oh, okay. Come on, dummy. Like, even if you just eat 1,000 calories over the amount you're supposed to, that's half as bad as 2,000 something calories over. So that was pretty shocking. It put me at, like, it was absurd. Like, it's an absurd amount of food. It's like, what are you fucking doing? This is ridiculous. So it's an absurdity, and I'm really equipped to deal with absurdity when it's like, oh, okay, cool. But then there's like sneakier things, racism and sexism and changing ideas about societal ideas and stuff like that, trans-phobia, money stuff, all this different shit. Like, I have these really set in stone ideas about money, and when those ideas get challenged, I'm like, no, I know what's going on. It's the Illuminati scum that are holding us down. And people are like, oh no, dude, you spend a lot of money on golden toothpaste. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I need my golden toothpaste to get to. I don't buy golden tooth. I don't even know if that's a thing, but it's like I need that to get through, because it's so hard to live as a white male aged fucking 25 to 45. You can't understand my plight. You know. And so I don't want to change those ideas. Those ideas seem to be set in stone. Or like these ideas of like, I knew, fuck, man. I don't know. It's really weird. Even simple things like a movie. So if I liked a movie back in the day, and then I watch it again, like for instance Face Off. So I liked this movie back in the day, and I know that I liked it because I watched it a bunch of times. I was like, sure, there's flaws, but all in all, it's pretty good. It's got a lot of pathos. I'm into this sort of thing, you know. And then I watch it again, and it's like, oh no, this is awful, and it's always been awful. That, by proxy, means that I was awful at one point. And instead of looking at that like, oh, I've come a long ways, I'm a lot cooler now, it's like, no, I am a piece of shit. I was a piece of shit if I ever thought this was good, and I'm sure it's followed me through my life and shaped all the things that I've been, you know, doing and everything. But and then that same outlook happens with stuff like I was in high school and stuff, dude. Okay, so my dad was super racist. And I was like, this guy's an asshole. I knew it from early on that he was super racist because he hated Michael Jackson. I used to, I used to really like, it's still, that's a tough one. What's with that guy? I still really respect Michael Jackson's musical output, and as a kid I just liked Michael Jackson and he and Mr. T and stuff, and he did not. He was a prejudiced person against black people. He said it was because he grew up in Texas, and he would get made fun of and beat up by black people and everything, and that's pretty much the same reason why I don't like racists, because I grew up around a bunch of racists. And it's fucking ridiculous, you know. So I can see that clearly. When I was a kid, I was like, I'm not racist. That is the stupidest thing in the world, you know, from like a really young age, super clearly. But growing up, I was extremely homophobic, extremely, you know. Yeah, like using homophobic slurs all the time, constantly, to the point where even at this point in my life, it's a knee jerk. Like I want to, like I know it's a hard, like, but I have none of that in my heart anymore. I don't know. It was just so acceptable at the time, and so I just felt I was right there with it, and it was like, oh yeah, and I was a hateful person too. Like I was just mean to everybody and stuff. And so when I look back at that, and so like, okay, so let me just reset. So if I look back at Face Off and I'm like, this was horrible, I was horrible, so by proxy I'm still horrible because I like this movie. So if I look back at my life and I'm like, oh my god, I was a huge hateful homophobic prick, then what's that gonna do? What am I gonna say about that? Well, if that was back then that's gotta still be me now. That's part of me now, and use that as an excuse to never change, you know? But it's not. So I'm not that person anymore, and I can accept that to a point. But I can't necessarily get rid of it. I've bumped into people from the past where they're like, you used to be an asshole, and now you're just a prick. Like you've changed. You're not nearly as awful as you were before. And I was like, oh yeah, I was a very vindictive, angry, kind of like trying to be evil person, you know, like leaning into it and stuff. So, but I'm not anymore. And I guess that's maybe the difference is I can cite how I've worked hard to change that in myself, not necessarily even to change it, but to go in there and really feel around it and make sure, is this real? Is this made out of stone? Is this made out of meatloaf? Is it garbage? Do I need to get it out of here? Do I need to build it a place to live and just sort of let it be? You know, that's a technique that I think Eckhart Tolle had talked about with the ego, is that you can't fight your ego. It's going to be there. The only thing you can do is feed it or not feed it. And it's like you can kind of give it a spot, a safe place to live, but it doesn't have to be in the control room. You just let the ego have a safe place where it can react, it can do what it needs to do, but it doesn't affect the controls. It doesn't have, and I'm totally paraphrasing and butchering Eckhart Tolle right now, but I think I'm even saying his last name wrong. It doesn't matter. This is America, man. I say it the way I wants to say it. But yeah, so anyway, I know within myself 100% that I've done some serious work to change the person I was into the person I am. And I've had to leave behind a lot of parts of myself and peel away those things and leave them behind. And it's good. I'm down with that. It's not fun. It fucking sucks. It fucking sucks all the time. And so now when something comes up, like this food thing, where it's like, oh, I'm doing this to myself, I have to find room for that and see, you know, I can't deny it. I joyfully put in all that food. It was like, oh yeah, I remember all this food from today. Let me put it all in and see what's going on. It was like, oh fuck, this is an average day. I'm doing this to myself. Of course, all this shit is available. Of course, all this garbage is pushed on us as far as food goes. But I'm the one who's doing it to myself. I'm the one who's making it happen. And so now I got to live with that. So now I don't have that fucking shield to hide behind anymore. I gotta fucking deal with that shit, which is bullshit. It sucks. I just want to keep on eating Twinkies with cream cheese on them. Wait, pizza with cream. What am I even talking about? I want to eat ranch and pizza and ice cream and Twinkies and cookies and all this garbage and just be like, oh cool, I'm gonna live a happy, healthy existence. But it's not gonna fucking happen. And now I got to deal with that shit now. If I want the outcome, I can just keep getting fatter and fatter and fatter. That's also an option. I gotta accept that that's an option that's totally 100% available. Totally available. Anyway, this has been fun. I'm here at the Plasma Place. Thanks for listening. Again, I'm gonna take another break. This might be the end, but I don't think so. I think I'll be chatting up on the way home too. If you're like a listener and this is super annoying and you hate this car stuff, drop me a note. I'll stop doing it. It's just time. It's time that I have available, so I go for it. Anyway, thanks again for listening. I'll probably be back here within an hour or so, which is zero time for you. See, watch. Ready? In now. Feeling drained of plasma. Plasma is the liquid in your blood. So they pull it out, they spin the blood, and it separates from liquid and red blood cells, and they keep the liquid and then they shove the red blood cells back in, and then they douse you with a big old dose of fucking saline right at the end. It gets all cold. And then they give you $20. Good job, buddy. Good job on staying alive this week. Here's your $20 for your sweet life essence. my friend. $20 today, $70 later in the week, my friend. Keep coming back, my friend. You can't miss that first time, though. I don't know why I gave them a funny accent, but that's what it feels. It feels weird going over there. They get a lot of that stuff. The plasma, man. Whoo! All right, we're back on it. Hey, I don't know. What's going on? What are we even doing right now? Just went grocery shopping, got some groceries. Watched some movies this week. Sort of. I watched Game Night. That was cool. I like that one. I would almost even recommend it. I would say go ahead and check it out. It's pretty tight. I like a movie without the shaky cam. I think that's maybe my two main preferences at all, or my one main preference. I mean, just no shaky cam. Even if it's not a great movie, I'll be like, whoa, look at that smooth camera action. Look at that. That is real nice. I'm such a hypocrite right now because the camera's not hooked in at all. It's just bouncing in the dashboard at a crooked angle with terrible lighting. It's just awful. If you're not watching it, you should switch over just to watch it for a minute to say, oh yeah, that's pretty bad. That is pretty stinking bad, man. Pretty awful. It's good to get it out, to complain a little bit sometimes. That's another one of my issues personally that I'm trying to face down, is that I fucking bitch all the time. I've become a huge bitch, and it's one of those things I want to blame on everything. I want to be like, it's not my fault that I'm bitching so much. It's that everything in the world sucks. That can't be true. I don't think. Might be. It might be true indeed. I started watching The Mummy, that movie with Tom Cruise. Not as bad as I expected so far. It's got a lady mummy in it, a woman mummy, and Tom Cruise doing his Tom Cruise stuff. And it's got this dude in it that I don't know who he is. He was in Tag. Also, that's the only other thing I think I've seen him in. It's weird. Sometimes people show up and they seem real familiar, but I don't necessarily know who they are. That was what's cool about looking back at older movies, like looking at Face Off. It was like, oh shit, there's a whole bunch of people that have since made it bigger, that have been in stuff that you recognize them from and everything. So it's like, it's kind of cool to see the humble beginnings or whatever of people. I like that. I think it's cool. Sometimes a movie will have like a shitload of people in it that end up coming up. There was this movie that I watched. I can't remember at all what it was called. I just sort of remember what it was about. But it had so many people that ended up being real big. It was about like a film crew went to shoot a movie in this little small town, and so they had the crew and the cast, and there was famous people and stuff, but everybody it had like Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it, and it was one of his like roles where he seemed happy, kind of. I think he played the writer of this movie, and he seemed like real happy and goofy, sort of, you know what I mean? That guy was cool. That guy was a good actor. One of those things. I mean, all of his stuff, at some point it got kind of I don't want to say like typecast or whatever, but he was definitely like the heavy, emotional, intense, guy and stuff. Like you look at him in the Big Lebowski, where he's kind of a goo ball. He was sort of that in this movie too. I like that part of him. I like that side of him. It would have been cool to see that a little bit more, like the goofball Philip Seymour Hoffman, you know, because it was like it's like at some point, yeah, you got it, you know, you're tortured. We can see that, but go ahead and have some fun, be goofy, you know, be a little, I don't know. I guess it's cool to see that in people when they got that goofiness in them, you know. I think I don't know. I like that. My favorite. I like the combination too. My favorite Robin Williams role is controversial. It was Death to Smoochie. He played Rainbow Randolph. Holy fuck! I love that character. That whole movie is full of such like really good characters, but that fucking character was so good, so like psychotically broken in ways that I can really relate to, which was great. Is that one of the best if you have ever seen Death to Smoochie, try it out. That's one of those movies that's got a whole shitload of people in it too. I mean, Catherine Keener, Danny DeVito. It's got Jon Stewart is in it. It's got that dude with the raspy voice that yes, it's so that guy is great. It's got the real tall guy that was in I want to say he was in Babe, the guy that was like in Beverly Hills Cop and stuff. I want to say he's Irish. He played Irish in this movie for sure, like an Irish mobster. It's a fucking cool ass movie. It's really well shot. Danny DeVito directed it and stuff. But anyway, it gets a bad rap. I think it's fucking awesome. It's about the children's the children's show racket, you know, and the mob connections to the children's shows and stuff. It's fucking great. Edward Norton too. Obviously, he's in it. And that big fucking weird looking guy. I love that dude. You know, the weird looking guy that I love that dude. He's a weird looking guy. Looks like a vampire or something. Not like a Tom Cruise vampire or a Brad Pitt vampire, but like a real vampire where it's like I just finished reading Gulliver's Travels not too long ago, and they had immortals in Gulliver's Travels, and Gulliver was like, oh, it'd be fucking great to be immortal. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. It'd be fucking great to be immortal because then I would learn all this stuff. I would teach people things. I would gather wealth. I would be a philanthropist, you know. And the people that knew the immortals were like, that's not how it works. You don't die, but you still get old. You just keep getting older and older and older. She's like, so it's like a fucking curse. That was sort of in the Wind-Up Bird Chronicles, the Murakami, I want to say Haruki Murakami. I might have butchered that name too, but the Wind-Up Bird Chronicles had a dude who was told during a war when he would die, and it was later, way later after the war. So he thought it was great to know that he was going to survive the war, that he didn't have anything to worry about, he wasn't going to die. But then at some point he realized that it was a curse knowing that, because he knew that he wasn't going to die, and there was some horrible shit happening around him, and he wished that he would die. You know, sometimes there's worse things than death that happen to people, and so the immortality, or not, in his case it wasn't even immortality, it was just knowing that the war wasn't going to kill him, that he was going to die an old man, you know. And so that's an interesting I think that's cool. So that's like, and also, okay, let's do this is a pop culture media hole here. Johann Vasquez, I think is how you say his name. Man, I'm fucking just butchering names. But he wrote a comic, wrote and drew a comic. Well, he wrote and drew a show called Invader Zim, which was fucking cool. But the comic before that he was real well known for was Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, which is phenomenal. Cool if you're feeling angsty and gothy and suicidal and homicidal, then that's a good one to dig into. I love that book. I thought it was so cool because it seemed like one thing and then it became a whole bunch of other things. But there was a short comic in one of those that was about a kid who wanted to become a vampire, and so the vampire bit him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be immortal," and he all this bullshit. Like he grew these gigantic fangs and this weird head. His head turned all weird, and the vampire was like, "Oh, I think you look pretty good," and stuff. But it was like it had a panel that was like 200 years later, and he had these huge, gigantic tusks, So he was sitting there watching TV in his house, you know what I mean? So it's like immortality isn't necessarily a gift, because like if I had the choice to become immortal, I would not take it right now. Just wouldn't do it because I've done not great to this point in my life. So it's like, what do you think? What is like an extra 150, 200 years of aging gonna do for me? It's nothing. Let's wrap it up. In another 30, 40 years. We'll wrap it up and call it good and just start over again or whatever. Just open that door and get out of there. So, where were we at here? We're talking about, maybe this even started with the mummy, because that's an idea of trying of some sort of immortality, In this one, it was, they set it up, the mummification happened alive. It was like a punishment, and they didn't do any of the stuff that would make it so they could cross over, and they created this prison that was like a pool of mercury, and they submerged the casket, and that's fucking pretty cool, man. The shit looked tight, I thought it was better than some fucking Brendan Fraser bullshit with The Rock as a centaur or something. What was that? He was a Scorpion King, but he was like a centaur or something, or he had like a bug body, but it was so that was in one of the Mummy movies, and The Rock played the Scorpion King, but it was like the CGI version of him. How fucking ridiculous, man. And then he went and played the Scorpion King. Man, The Rock's been around, son. That guy's been doing it for a while, doing it for a minute, just really tearing it up, I guess. There's some pretty good ones. I like Southland Tales that he was in. That was by the dude that did Donnie Darko, and also the Box. Is that what it was called? The Box? I think it was called The Box. Something. Anyway, The Rock was in that. Justin Timberlake, whole shitload of people. That was a cool movie too. Sean William Scott was in it. Fucking that little weird dude, what is that guy's name? Is Scott too something, I think. Wallace Scott from Princess Bride, he was in it. I'm pretty sure that's his name. That was a weird movie too that maybe nobody really had seen. Southland Tales, I remember liking that movie a lot more than Donnie Darko. I don't know why that movie's so popular. I forgot how I got down this rabbit hole talking about immortality and stuff. It's pretty weird. There's a thing that happens with addicts. I'm just going to jump off here. With addicts. I deal with addiction, addictive tendencies. I used to smoke crystal meth for a while. I was drinking a lot, alcoholic off and on. Any kind of something to, something to grab onto, like I'm on food right now. That's my addiction right now, is food. I can't fucking get away from that. I don't do anything else. I don't drink or anything, even drink soda or caffeine. But there's this thing that happens where people say, I'm 180 days sober, I'm 5 years sober, I'm 10 years and 22 days sober, I'm 16,000 decades and 7 months and 48 hours and 32 minutes sober and everything. And my personal opinion on that is I start to become addicted to that, to the counting. And then I feel like a huge failure when I relapse, because relapse is a huge part of recovery. So what I started doing is that it's just I'm one day sober, and it's today. And tomorrow maybe not, and yesterday maybe not, but today is the day. So I'm gonna let's end here. I don't know why I put that out there. I think it had to do with the immortality thing. I don't want to live forever. Just do it today. I'll just do today. I'm not even really worried about tomorrow, which can be an issue, I guess. So this is an episode. This is an episode of the Face Off Podcast. Hey, I hope there was some fun here. I hope we had a good time. I had a good time. I had fun. I hope you did too. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later. Have a great and wonderful life. Goodbye.